This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
Hello and welcome back to the Paddle and Fin podcast.
I'm Brian.
It's Josh.
Ryan
I'm Jay.
Dustin Nichols.
It's Ricketts.
And I'm Brad.
Susie Roloff.
Sam Jones. Got Dan Perry with the
Bass Fishing for Noobs.
Final Cast.
Chasing the Tide saltwater segment here on
Adventures with Outdoor Women.
The Reel Down on. You got a Cyber Monday.
Oh yeah, dude.
Happy birthday, you listeners.
Oh, guys. This is a stud.
He is the giant. Mr. Drew Gregory himself. Welcome, Drew.
Got it.
What's going on, everybody? How you all doing tonight? Ain't no coronavirus keeping us down here at Paddle and Fin. Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is staying healthy. Got an exciting show tonight. I'm sure some of you have seen that this past Friday I was on the Serious Angler podcast, so I wanted to return that favor to my man Bailey. This evening, we're going to get into a few things, but real quick, just a little house cleaning here at the PNF headquarters. If you guys could go down and share the link to this stream, that would be much appreciated. Help us grow an audience here, get this thing going. What else do we got? Had a little PNF powwow the other evening, and we have a few things in the works here. So if you guys listen to the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment, we've been talking about doing a Noobs online monthly tournament. That is going to be a go. I think we're going to kick that off beginning in May. And this is going to be for those folks that are interested in getting into kayak fishing tournaments. So all you sticks out there, please don't enter for it. We're going to make it really low cost. We're thinking right around $10. And instead of cash prizes, it'll be actual prizes from some of our sponsors and things like that. So that is super exciting. Also, we talked about meetups. So depending on what all happens with the good old coronavirus, we'll find out. But hopefully, by the time we're ready to do some of these meetups, that's all free and clear. But we're thinking an Illinois meetup around 4th of July weekend. And then we're thinking either Indiana or Ohio meetup around Labor Day weekend. And then we're also talking about doing a kind of like a Bass Fishing for Noobs retreat / clinic / get together somewhere down in like Tennessee or Kentucky. We're not sure on when we're going to do that, but a bunch of us hosts would come down. We do some like seminars, some on water stuff, camping, sharing some food together, and just having a good old time. So just wanted to bring that to the forefront, keep you guys up to date on what's going on behind the scenes. And then we have another really big announcement. Paddle and Fin is going to be teaming up with Angler. So we've been talking with Angler. We're going to start doing some cool stuff with them. We're going to be doing some giveaways of some Angler buttons and stuff in the future. But teaming up with Angler, super excited about that. If you guys aren't familiar with the Angler platform, go download the app, check them out online. All that good stuff. It's a pretty big platform for all types of fishing, and we're super excited to be working with them. And get ready. So without further ado, let me bring my man in here, Mr. Bailey. You ready, dude? You ready? I see him in the green room. He says he's ready. Let's put him on the hot seat, boys and girls. Don't forget to, drop in the chat there where you guys are tuning in from and all that good stuff. And here comes my man.
What's going
What's
on?
up, brother? How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Happy to be here.
So we're flipping the script on you tonight, man. You put me in the hot seat the other day, so it's your turn, brother.
You put me on the live show. I had the nice recording so we could edit mine, but you put me on live.
I mean, does that make you nervous?
Nah.
Well, I'm not doing my job then, because we should be making you nervous here.
I love the pressure. Don't screw up, right?
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's always just a casual conversation. So no pressure, dude. No pressure at all. And if you screw up, when it goes on the podcast tomorrow, I'll make sure to edit it out.
No, I don't think. Expose me.
Expose me. I like it. Well, if we're going to expose you, let's start out, man. Who you are, where you're from, how you got into fishing and kayak fishing, man.
All right. I'm Bailey Eigbrett. I'm 22, just out of college up here in New York. Born and raised Rochester, New York. Got into fishing when I was, I don't remember the first fish I caught. It's a funny story, though. My dad tells me to tease me. We went to Honeywell Lake. For those around the New York area, it's a very, very small lake, but it's a numbers lake. And, your cookie cutter's 2-pounders in there. And apparently I had hooked into a 2-pounder at the pond, the north end, and I was bringing it in. I started crying when I saw the fish because I didn't want to touch it. So my dad started teasing me. Well, he's teased me since then about that story. But that was like my first, fish I caught getting into fishing. So it was kind of funny. And then since then, it pretty much kind of grew. As I grew up, my dad would wake me up at 5 a.m. on weekends, and we'd go out in the Bayliner and throw sluggos around. And
nice.
Pretty much all the way through until I was 12 or 13. And my brother and I got into kayaks. We just got like the cheap Walmart kayaks because my dad got rid of the boat. And we didn't want to drive around bank fishing, so we tried to get into kayaks. So I knew nothing really about bass fishing into detail at that point. So it was during the spawn, so I had no idea it was a spawn. But looking back on it, obviously it was a spawn, and I just threw a wacky rig under a dock and pulled out a 5-pounder, wondering why there was a bunch of small fish in there, which was obviously, it's the fry. Pulled out my first 5-pounder, and I brought it in the kayak, and my brother and I were screaming. We're like, it's a 15-pounder, going nuts. And we put on the scale, it says 5.1. We're like, what? That's when we kind of took a realization of,
Sure.
Okay, we know nothing. We need to actually start researching this stuff. Pretty much then it grew, it blew up for me, and that's kind of all I thought about 24/7, 365. And I think it was when I was 16 or 17. My dad brought me to a field and stream and pretty much walked up to the wall with a big, massive shadow caster, camo kayak sitting on top, and goes, you think you'd like that? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I could do a lot of stuff with that. And he goes, all right. He turns to the guy, the associate there, and goes, we'll take it. And I'm like, what?
Nice.
And it pretty much started there. I got into kayak fishing, got into tournaments at NYKBF, and then the rest is pretty much history. Now it's everything I do, work, sleep, think about, whatever. It's all bass fishing.
Heck yeah, man. I got a similar story, man, with the boat, except mine was a canoe. Went in, I think it was like Sports Authority or something. And, I had just started driving, and I'd been using that inflatable boat I told you about on your podcast,
Yep.
And my old man's like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, that'd be pretty sweet, a lot better than pumping up this big boat every time, I drive down to the ramp and stuff. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, the 15-foot Coleman canoe, man, still got that thing.
Nice.
It's pretty slick. That thing's got to be, holy crap, like 21 years old, man. Almost as old as you.
Yeah.
But very cool, dude. So what kind of kayak you in nowadays?
So now I'm in a Wilby Radar 135.
Nice.
Paddle drive. Yep.
Nice.
I needed the paddle drive. Had to get away from the paddle. I kind of explained to you. on my podcast as well is, shoulders a little bit beat up from being an athlete. So paddling is not really my friend. The pedaling is where it's at.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It changes the way you fish, man.
Yeah. Big offshore guy, so it helps my game.
Heck yeah. Offshore game. So what are you targeting mostly, and what are you throwing when you're offshore?
So I guess it depends. For me, I guess it depends on what lake I'm going to. If I'm practicing for a tournament, obviously, then it's just going to play into a factor of what my strategy is. But I love smallmouth.
Okay.
Being from the north, that's
We're
kind of in your
spoiled.
blood. Yeah, it's kind of in your blood. Yeah, you got. So I like to go after the smallmouth, and they can be tricky in the Finger Lakes. So it's finding different things here and there, but I think for me, finding offshore patterns is a lot difficult than beating the bank. So that's kind of where my attraction is to it. It's a little bit more challenging to kind of read offshore grass structure, rock to sand lines, different things like that, to kind of put together a plan. And once you catch one, then you catch 3, then 10. When you really figured it out, it's just pretty sweet. But I guess my go-to, for me, I love finding offshore rock piles, and I might get crap for it, but I love throwing a drop shot. I just love feeling the slight dunk, or just feeling your rod tip start going down, and you just start zinging, and I like that. But I do love a 3/4 to an ounce jackhammer, and slow rolling that on the bottom and just feeling yourself get rocked. So that's pretty
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know what it is with you boys up in New York, man. I mean, the drop shot is the thing. I was listening to, man, I forget the name of the podcast, but they were talking about Greg Blanchard and how he's always throwing the drop shot. And I guess recently on a couple of his videos, I'm behind on his stuff, but he finally threw the Ned rig, and now he's all about it. So
yeah, he's all about that Zoom Z drop.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's from your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, Greg and I used to compete against each other a bunch of times, and he's literally just down the road. Not really down the road, I guess, 20, 30 minutes. But fish the same water as I fish, and there's a few times where Greg and I would compete against each other, and he would beat me by 1/4 of an inch. I'd be leading the whole day on Tourney X, and then I'd come in, and guys are like, "Oh, I think you got it," and then he'd come in and he'd go, second place. They would announce my name, and I'm like, "What? Man, where's Greg's name?" And it's like, by 1/4 of an inch, Greg. I'm like, "You jerk! I can never catch a break."
Oh man, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no,
what are you gonna do?
And ask for a better guy to lose to, so it's all right. Now he's tearing it up in Cali.
Yeah, he's pretty fortunate, man. All those guys out on the West Coast and down south, man. Fishing's been pretty decent. I know, like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, they've been hit pretty hard with rain, so they've been a little less fortunate. But, California, it seems like it's starting to heat up out there. I did watch his video that just released, and he was jacking some nice fish out, and he was fishing around a marina or something like that. So
yeah, I watched that one today ago. Yeah, spoke to him today, and he's coming. He plans on coming to New York in May. Still, he usually does like a month or two swing.
Sure.
Back home, but he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could come home this year. This whole virus. So he might be
it's
in California.
It's pretty bad up there in New York, from what I understand, right?
It's from around us. It's not that. I think we have like 1 or 2 cases confirmed, maybe.
Okay.
It's really New York City that's really giving us that rap,
Right.
It is what it is.
What are you going to do? So, you're fresh out of college. Did you fish at the college level, the collegiate level, or no?
No. My school didn't have a college bass fishing team when I was there.
Okay.
And when I went into college, I was at that, at that time, my priority list was primarily sports and school. A little bit more sports than school, even though I was, Division III, but I was a hockey lacrosse kid growing up, and due to concussions, injuries, I had to swim for 4 years. Sucked, but it was worth it in the end. You kind of get a new work ethic to you. But I fished in the spring once season was over. But when you swim, things take up so much of your time that you really don't get an opportunity to. And I didn't have a boat. Obviously, I only had the kayak, and there wasn't really a lot of guys who fished at school that I knew of.
Sure.
So it wasn't really a thing. I knew buddies around me, like at ESF, that all fished, but it wasn't something I was able to get into. But
Right on.
now that I'm out of college, it's pretty much consumed every single day. Whether I'm working, fun fishing, editing, whatever. It's all about fishing. So
Yeah. We'll get into some of that work stuff here in a second, but let's segue into the Serious Angler podcast. You not only talk to kayak guys, but big bass boat guys, and some pretty big names in the big bass boat world and things like that, man. So how did that all stem up? What was your idea behind starting the podcast there?
yeah, so the podcast itself, that actually wasn't my idea. I can't take full credit for that. Ryan Killen, one of the tournament directors for NYKBF, he came up with that idea for me. He's a big podcast guy. He's a huge podcast junkie. Turned me on to Joe Rogan, so I got kind of into that. And then we were working on a house one day, and I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, dude, there's so many guys out there that don't get that much recognition, that are hammers, and they post quality content. And I'm like, no one really knows about them. Like, it kind of sucks. It's be cool to like highlight them. And he's like, dude, start a podcast. I was like, oh, what's a podcast? And it's like he kind of taught me the ropes and different things, got me set up with it. And then when I learned it was just as simple as hopping on Skype and recording, I was like, okay, I could do this. Maybe it'd be kind of fun. Started getting some guys on, and pretty much just as simple as I would just message them over Instagram, be like, hey, here's my name. This is what the podcast is about. You want to come on? And then they just come on. We talk about them fishing, their story. And started in August. So it's been 7-8 months now that we have had the podcast. So it's pretty cool. And, I love all fishing, but, bass fishing kind of rules all for me. So I like to have different people on, from, your bank fishermen to your boat guys, to your kayak guys, your river guys, like Brad Hicks, one of the guys here at Paddle and Fin. He clued me in on a bunch of river fishing that, I'm new to that. I've never really done it. Much in New York. So that's kind of how it started. I was just very interested. I love talking fishing. If I'm not fishing, I want to talk fishing. So what better than to have a podcast? And, it's growing day by day, but it's cool to give these guys a platform, whether their name's big or small, to kind of share their story with everybody.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think that's a highlight for me. I've had that comment before, like, I don't know, nobody knows who I am. Why should I be on the podcast? And it's like,
yeah,
well, like, come on, man, you got an interesting story. Let's talk about this, and it's kind of cool, man. I think it's very unique because you draw from different aspects all over, and you could put it into the way you fish. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of guys that I know, that listen to the podcast, man, it's little tips and tricks, that they've picked up along the way just from listening to the stories, or the way that some guys or guests that have been on here do things, man. So it's kind of unique, man. I think there's a lot of unique stories overall in the fishing world in general. We're mainly kayak fishing here, but I think it's cool you're covering all aspects, right?
Yeah.
So you're pulling from a bunch of different areas throughout the fishing community, which is super cool. So, yeah. I mean, so far, like, you're on episode 52, launched today, right?
Yeah, launched today. I had Chase Milholland, Jackson Sullivan, two hammer duos in high school down in Tennessee.
Nice. Heck yeah, man.
53 is dropping Wednesday. Pretty excited for that one. So
nice. So out of 53 episodes, you got a top one that's towards the top without hurting anybody's feelings.
No, those guys, they won't care. Man, so I love to learn. That's one thing about fishing that I think I love the most, is because you're never gonna know everything. You're never gonna you can never find a finish line for fishing. I think it's really cool because you're always striving to get better. I love that part, and I've loved talking to every single person that's come on here. But I think, though, I guess that I have to give you two because they kind of tie into each other. That I learned the most during just things that, strategy wise, fish behavior, different things that kind of that stuck with me. The first one being Mikey Balls Fishing. If anybody's watched YouTube, they probably know who he is. Famous for the 46-pound bag he put up. That one was that was a long episode. That man likes to talk, but rightfully so. I mean, when he talks, you need to listen because he knows his stuff.
Sure.
And then right alongside of that one, Alton Jones Jr. was a blast too. Kind of learning, like one thing I took from it was learning how, northern and southern winds and how they shift lake temperatures and how to read that, to kind of estimate and know where the fish are going to move throughout the seasons, which I thought was incredible because that's always one thing that's kind of confused me, and that was pretty awesome. So those are pretty fun podcasts, but all of them have been enjoyable. Every guy I want to have back on, so it's not like any of them was bad. So it's a fun time.
That's very cool, man. I mean, what would you say your biggest struggle with the podcast has been so far?
Man, honestly, with the podcast, the way I look at it is like I'm not there to make money. I'm not there to blow it up. I mean, I would like to blow it up for the sake of having the guys on and giving them a big platform to share.
Sure.
But from a struggle standpoint, I don't really find any negative because I'm doing this more out of fun and trying to help certain anglers provide a platform and talk fishing. So anytime I find myself feel like it's like a job, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stop. It's more of just I enjoy to do it, so that's why I have started it. So I guess if I were to pick a struggle, I guess it's man, I don't know. That's tough because I don't look at my podcast and see any negatives. Because I enjoy it.
No, I know how you feel, man. I mean, I have the same aspect. I mean, obviously we're a little different over here at PNF, but it's hard to find a negative, dude. I mean, it's so much fun and entertaining. What do you got?
I'll say the only negative is scheduling because when you got so much going on, it's kind of tough to pick out the time because like sometimes they're 40 minutes, sometimes they're an hour and a half, depending on how much you're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I used to have that same struggle before. Now I pretty much have a set schedule. I have to be here at 7:30 Central Time every Monday.
Yep.
But and it works out. It's worked out thus far, But before it was like, all right, like I had two co-hosts, and then a guest, and trying to make all four people's schedules align sometimes was a pain in the butt. So then it'd be like me and a co-host, or the two co-hosts, Jay Randall and Jason Ricketts, and the guest, or vice versa. So it kind of worked out. There's not really a need for three hosts, right? But it definitely helps flavor up the conversation a little bit, for sure. Not discounting those guys at all, but trying to get that that scheduling worked out can sometimes be a pain in the butt. I know when you and I talked, it was like, you're like, I was like Eastern or Central, and you're like, oh yeah, I always forget about that, like time zones. Like, and the worst is like, I've talked to some people on the West Coast, so we're like, where I'm at, I'm 2 hours ahead of them. For you, you're 3. Yeah. So it's just like, that could be a little conflicting and a pain to kind of work around, because it's either you're doing it way late at night, or they're doing it like super early in the evening, so.
Yeah, I've made that mistake. I did it actually last week, and I feel really bad. He's coming on tomorrow night. Thankfully he didn't care because he asked me. I usually like to ask people when's good for them.
Sure.
He told me, he goes Thursday 8:30. Does that work for you? And in my mind, obviously, I'm thinking like Eastern. Yeah, perfect. All right, we can do that. And so I'm sitting there at 8:30, and I'm texting him, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready. And this is Kyle Vandeveer, Brandon Polinick's cameraman. And I'm asking him, like, you good? It's like 9 o'clock, then 9:30. I'm like, damn, I know he's busy. Man, this guy literally shut me
Right,
out. I get a text at 11:30 p.m. and he goes, "Are we doing this thing?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I thought they're over in Idaho, and it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, "All right, we need to reschedule." It's like it was rough, but it happens, and thankfully, guys are okay with it. So it's not the first time it's happened.
Right. I know we've all made that mistake a few times, with time and things like that. So, because the guys, we got some guys in the Eastern time zone, and I'll be like when we do our after hour show, and I'm like, are we talking Central time or Eastern? It's like we always got to make that clear. Otherwise, it ends up like, we'll say 7:30, and then those guys are on 7:30, but it's 6:30 here, and I'm like, bro, we're not going for like another hour, I thought, So it's just like, come on, man. Like, we got to get this straight, So it could be a pain in the butt sometimes, but yeah, is what it is, man. So you got any big exciting up and coming guests coming on the show that you want to talk about? Any new things you're thinking about doing?
So tomorrow or Wednesday we have a new podcast dropping. It's not a new feature. It is a few guys, Mike Schnupp, Andrew Full, Justin Bunn, all guys who've been on the podcast. We did a group podcast to talk about how this coronavirus is going to affect different, elite tournaments, MLF, tournaments in general. We talked about that for a while. We talked about MLF Lake 4, kind of like a topic podcast. So that's dropping on Wednesday.
Very cool.
I'm getting Kyle, BP's cameraman on tomorrow night. The classic was successful. I met a bunch of people, talked around, and kind of, tested the water, see who wants to come on. Got my buddy Locke Holmes coming on soon. He's an angler at Mansfield University. Hopefully he gets to fish some college events because I think he's a senior now. But I got James Watson coming on. I got David Dudley's coming on, which is going to be pretty exciting. Pick his brain. I'm going to be really prepared with my question list for him because I want to get real specific.
I just saw a comment in the chat from Justin Hausner.
Yeah.
No one bigger than me. Come on. Justin. Bro. Do you know who we're talking to? This guy's talking to FLW and BASS pros. Justin, I mean, I love you, brother, but nobody wants to talk to the fuzzy guppy. I'm just kidding. A lot of love to Justin. A lot of love.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
There's a bunch of come on, and Justin it's always fun to talk with him because I've known Justin for a long time. He was one of the guys that helped grow this passion for me of kayak fishing just because NYKBF, and he taught me a few things here and there. He's a good dude. He's a new father as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Talk to him about that. I think I was on the Reel Down, and we had him on just after he had the baby and stuff. So, yeah, very cool, man. Just a little bit of house cleaning here, guys and gals. We got Justin Staley in the house. Frankie Briggs, what's up, brother? Brad Hicks. We got a Leslie Ryan. So awesome to see my nephew doing his thing. So proud. Oh, look at that, man. You got the aunt in the house. We got Brian Walsh, my man JP, Brock Howe. What's up, brother? Luke Coffey, Dale Van Horn, Sean Coopin, Jacob Ruff, Justin Hausner, Forrest Buchanan, Susie Roloff.
Forrest is probably yelling at you right now because his last name's Buck, and he gets Buchanan all the time.
Man, I'm not perfect, bro. I'm not perfect. I apologize.
I messed it up when I had him on my podcast. He's probably swearing at me right now, too.
We got Chris Josh in the house. Stephanie Brown, what's up? Who else we got in here? Sorry, man.
You're fine. I should pull these up.
Justin Hausner says FLW pros wish they could tie his shoes. You got your grandma in the house, brother. Donna is watching from Florida, man.
What's up, Grandma?
Man, you got a crowd up in here tonight, man. That's awesome. So let's talk Douglas rods, man. So and I'm very intrigued by this. And you know, you're working for them directly. Like, how did that whole thing start? Did you know somebody who knew somebody, or did you just see an opening and took it, or how'd that all play out?
So I think it was 2 summers ago. They posted a giveaway on their Instagram account, and I just kind of entered it because I'm, broke kid. So any kind of free stuff comes around, I'm hopping on it.
Yeah.
So I entered it, and they're like, "Hey, you won!" And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I didn't realize, the capacity of the rod until I looked it up, and it's like a $315 rod. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is, big
This
deal."
is legit.
I got it in my hands, and I love the thing. And it was in December. It was January. We went to the Niagara Fishing Expo, and they were there. I was there with NYKBF. And I was walking over, and I was checking out some more of their rods. And one of my buddies, Jeff Marionetti's one of their pro staff, he was there talking to him. And I saw they had another giveaway going on, so I was like writing my name on it. And I didn't know at the time, but the owner and his wife were there, and they came up to me, and they're like, "Oh, you entered in the giveaway?" I'm like, "Yeah, see if I can win another one." And they're like, "What do you mean another one?" I'm like, "I won the kayak giveaway a while ago." And they're like, "Oh, like that was you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was me." And they're like, try to get pictures or whatever. And then they were like talking about different things, and they're like asking them about kayak fishing, and I told them about it, and they seemed really interested. So I introduced them to the NYKBF guys. Now they're partners of the trails, which is pretty cool. And then they said, "Hey, why don't you come by the store, the headquarters next week, and we're gonna sit down and talk." I didn't know what they meant, maybe like a pro staff or something like that. And I didn't have a job at the time, so I was keeping open-minded. So I went up there, went into Syracuse, and sat down with them. They're like, "We want to bring you on, multiple different things. We want you to be a part of the team. Are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah, working fishing? Yeah, okay, I can do that." And pretty much the rest is history. And doing social media, running their Spin and Cast account right now, doing some sales, some marketing, some event coordination. I'll be at every NYKBF tournament, repping Douglas, so it's going to be a blast there. And got some more projects in the works coming up soon. So if the virus doesn't shut everybody else down. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's very cool, man. So, for those that don't know about the rods, I mean, what's a couple key features that really stand out to you that you like?
So the biggest thing to me is we have a strength to weight ratio that does not compare to anybody else. Our main competitors, we have 2 series, the LRS, the Lake River Seed, and the X Matrix. The X Matrix is like our cream of the crop. That's what we're most proud about. And there really isn't a huge difference between the LRS and the X Matrix. It's just a more of a comparison in tonnage of the rod. But the X Matrix, I mean, I've shown multiple people the rod. Multiple FLW, MLF, elite anglers came by our booth, and they tried the rods because they're friends with our rod designer Fred Kintawi, who was one of the original FLW guys. And they were blown out of their mind. Like multiple guys, Dudley himself picked it up and was like, "Did you give me a rod? Like I can't tell." And it was because they're so dang light, and the backbone on them is just it's incredible how durable and how strong they are for how light. Because when you have it in your hand, you can't believe that it's that strong. So to me, that's my biggest factor. That's the biggest impression for me. And one thing I like too is they're very simplistic. They're not, no offense to the 13 guys out there, but I cannot stand those neon green rods. They give me a headache just looking at them. So I like how simple they are, and just it's, I could give so many different sales pitches to it and everything, but I really just like to, just put one in your hand and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I love them. I'm proud to be repping them. Even if I wasn't working there, I would still be representing, Douglas rods, but it's incredible.
Right on, man. Yeah, I know. I recently saw some, and I was kind of impressed. That weight thing, man. I mean, those things are like you said. You're like, is there anything even in my hand right now? Like these things are ridiculous. So, it's super cool, man. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, who needs a neon green fishing rod, bro? I mean, come on. But I like that blue color on the LRS rods, man. On the actual rod blank
Navy
itself,
blue.
it's a real slick blue, and it's very subtle.
They're nice because like I mentioned, they're a little bit of a lower tonnage graphite to them, and a lot of our combos too are blends. We have some models that are made of graphite and glass. So, like specifically, there's the one I put to use the other day. I was out on a local lake throwing a blade bait, and I was using the 724 XF, and that thing, I mean, if you want to feel every nook and cranny and every vibration of a blade bait or your lipless, whatever have you, that thing's the real deal. And the LRS is nice because it has a little bit less material than the X Matrix, so it makes it a little bit softer. So it's way better if you're going to be throwing like a crankbait, a jerk bait, something along those lines. You can throw multiple things on it, but from a reaction bait standpoint, the LRS I like because it's a little bit softer than the X Matrix series. So it's pretty sweet.
On. I popped a comment up here. Justin Hausner said he thinks you'll be able to try these out at the NYKBF events this summer. So
yeah, I'll be there with the Douglas van, a big showcase there, so you can demo them, you can buy them, different things like that. Yep. John Zeker, another tournament director, he tested some out himself. Hopefully, cool, trigger soon.
I got to put this up here because my comments just loaded. Grandma.
Yep. That's my grandma down in Florida. Yep.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. Very cool. But I see another comment. It hasn't loaded on my screen here, but Justin Staley said easy on the green rods, bro.
All right, dude.
But yeah, it's super cool, man. I think it's interesting because you're such a young man, and I know we talked about this briefly when I was on your podcast, like trying to get into the fishing industry, like getting a job in the fishing industry isn't the easiest thing to do sometimes, man. So I was curious after, chatting about it with you, and after we got off the horn there, I'm like, man, that dude is young as all get out, and he's already working for a rod company. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong? But it's cool, man. I think it's crucial, and I think Douglas is doing something right and different. Like, they're getting that younger audience where, like in your age group, that's the new series of anglers serious anglers coming into the sport. Yeah. See what I did there? Serious anglers.
Yeah,
see?
I see that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing we kind of pride ourselves on. And we don't make a rod, and we're attracting a certain niche. We're going after a specific niche, and we're not. We build on quality. If we're not about price, we're not about overpaying. You can get a better rod and better strength to weight ratio for $300 than an SLX G Loomis for $500. We pride ourselves on the quality of the product, which is one thing it's why I believe in it. And there's different things we do, and we don't make a rod under $150 because it's hard to make that high of a quality product under that, and that's what everybody's doing right now. It's a saturated market, so it's not even worth our time at this point. Not saying it's not in the future, but from that 150 to a 350 standpoint, in my mind, performance quality wise, I think we rule. It's just the biggest struggle with us is brand recognition. We started out as a fly rod company, so that's what everybody looks at us for, is fly rods. We're award winning in multiple different weight selections, but the thing for us is telling people, hey, we make conventional rods and some dang good ones.
Yeah,
and it's hard.
Well, and that's how I first heard of Douglas, my man, my brother. JD DeRosier. He's got some of your guys' fly rods, and that's how I first learned about them. Oh, yeah. And man, he's like, dude, they are slick as snot, man. But real quick, I just popped a comment up here on the screen. I hope you all see it, but Justin is saying the NC National Championship, KBF National Championship was just postponed. So
smart.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I know a lot of people were looking forward to that, but I'm sure it's been nothing but a headache for Mr. Hoover and all those involved. We were going to have a team down there to fish the team tournament in partnership with Ketch, and Duke texted me earlier today, and he was like, hey man, I'm gonna have to pull the plug on this. I don't think we're going. And I'm like, dude, trust me, I totally get where you're coming from, man. So kind of a bummer. I'm seeing it's not loaded in my quotes, but Justin Hausner is saying they're talking end of November, or I'm sorry, beginning of November 4th through 6th. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that on some podcasts this week coming up. So just a heads up, everybody, cancel your hotel or Airbnbs or whatever. So sorry, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of legality there, and it was a smart move because they do attract a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, if they do, like Justin said, November 4th to 6th, a lot of people might be traveling for Thanksgiving if we still can travel at that point.
Yeah.
So they might not go to the national championship and travel for that because they want to travel for family, or it could be a struggle for some people is what I'm trying to get at.
Nice. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, man. It's just, what are you going to do? I mean, I know it sucks for the KBF organization, but at the same time, man, I know Chad puts his people first and stuff like that, so
yeah,
it's a bummer, but breaking news, ladies and gents, KBF NC has been postponed. So that means I may be able to fish it now. Awesome. But
there we go.
Sweet. Anyways, sorry, man, we got sidetracked there, but Justin just said he just got an X Matrix dope rod for sure.
Oh yeah.
You
got the 715F. It's very versatile all around rod.
Patrick Dempsey, the one you let me hold, sure was pretty.
Yeah, he took one of my old rods from me, but I made sure he saw what the new one was.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yep.
So you guys got any new rods coming out? You guys just released your 2020 catalog, so
we got some specific models. One thing that we kind of do that attracts a good number of people, it's a trend right now, coming further east, and a lot of guys are into it, and like Justin down here, he's gonna cringe me saying it, but it's we have some good swim bait, glide bait rods out right now that are, that you can't beat them. Like I said, the strength to weight, it's a feather. When you're throwing, a 1 to 2 ounce glide bait, rod is huge. So that's one thing we're kind of working on. Our guys, Fred Kantawi, a rod designer out in California. Obviously, he fishes Clear Lake. So Clear Lake, big swim baits. He's a California guy at heart, so that's one thing he likes to throw. He did a seminar on that actually at the Classic at our booth. He had I think it was an 8-inch bull shad. He was showing people how to use which rods to use and certain techniques going into how to use swim baits. It was pretty cool. It was insightful for a lot of people listening. So that's one thing I think is big for us in 2020 is we have an updated swim bait rods for the X Matrix series. So
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
You got anything else as far as Douglas goes?
As far as Douglas, I'm hoping we still have ICAST. We'll be down at ICAST, and that's gonna be a blast. I've never been to an ICAST, so I hope it still happens. Because that's where all the magic happens down there. Is that's where companies release the goods. So I hope that happens. I don't want to miss out on that.
I agree. If they cancel iCast, I might go a little ballistic because this is supposed to be my first iCast as well.
Yeah.
And that is something I've been looking forward to since last year. So we'll see. But I think that's far enough out where
I hope so.
Where we should be in the clear. So if you're going to ICAST and you're going to Florida, man, I got to ask because Grandma's in the chat, dude. Are you going to go visit Grandma while you're down there?
Of course I'm going to visit Grandma, yeah.
You better go visit Grandma.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Of course.
Awesome. There you go, Grandma. He's coming down.
Yeah, get that
part
mac
of July.
ready.
Mac and cheese? Did you say mac and cheese?
Oh, yeah. Grandma's mac
dude,
and cheese.
What is it, man? Yeah, Grandma's mac and cheese, dude. My grandma just passed away a couple of years ago, man. God rest her soul. But, dude, the best mac and cheese you'll ever eat in your life, dude. I think grandmas have that special touch, man. They just make mac and cheese magical, dude.
There's
You got
only
me all
one
excited
thing.
now for some mac and cheese, bro.
Yeah, there's only one thing that comes close to being as good as fishing, and that's Grandma's mac and cheese.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Grandma's probably laughing her butt off, falling
I
out
know.
of the chair.
I'm waiting
right
for a comment to see if she's still in here.
now. Oh, very cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
I told you at the beginning of this, I was going to kind of flip the script and put you on the hot seat tonight. So,
Oh, boy.
you typically end your podcast with 2 specific questions.
I do.
So I'm sure you probably have a pretty good idea on how you're going to answer these. But if you guys haven't listened to a Serious Angler podcast, Bailey at the end asked 2 questions, and I think they're pretty cool questions. So I'm gonna return the favor. I did this to Scott Butcher as well when I had him on the podcast, because he does the plead the fifth, and I did 5 really small plead the fifth questions with him, and he made it through, so it wasn't that bad. But if you could go out to dinner with 3 people, past or present, who would it be?
Oh. See, like I ask people this every episode, but I always forget to think, what's mine until afterwards, and I think about it. But I'm never prepared for it if somebody was to ask me. So, I'm trying to think. Best 3. Honestly, I would like to talk to The Rock. I think he would be cool.
Okay.
I would like to sit down
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, just because his story is pretty incredible, but just to kind of get his, off air, no television, no microphones, raw, his story, different things he's come from. His background's pretty wild, so I'd like to hear about that. That'd be pretty cool. Brandon Polnick, probably my favorite angler, just because besides Florida, the dude can catch him everywhere. He sucks in Florida, so I would love to talk to him just because he's very versatile. I think that would be somebody I'd really love to talk to. And then last one. Man, Brad Hicks is going to love me for this. I would love to talk to Sidney Crosby. Pittsburgh Penguins. Here he goes.
This podcast is now over, folks.
Sure, we got.
I used to like you, Bailey. I used to really, really like you. And with that comment, I mean,
I've lost a lot of friendships because of that.
Bro, why? Why him? Why does it got to be him?
Man, I got the weirdest sport teams. I'm an Eagles fan and a Penguins fan. It's weird, man. It's I met Mario Lemieux because I played against his kid.
You told me that story.
Yeah. So when I met him, I was like, "Hey, oh wow, you're Mario Lemieux. Okay, I'm a fan." So
that's
then,
cool.
My dad was an Eagles fan when I was born. My dad's a bandwagon when it comes to football. I wasn't going to be a bandwagon, so I was stuck with being a Philly and Pittsburgh fan. So
very cool,
now
man.
it's exposed to everybody. Yeah.
Brad Hicks is getting all excited right now, dude.
I see my buddy Brian Walsh is in here too.
Yeah. Man, I don't know, Bailey. We're gonna have to have a long talk after this is over, my friend.
Yeah, my uncle's in here. That's funny.
Oh, yeah, he's giving you some flack, man. What, Crosby? No,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude.
Hey, respect the best.
I respect that 3, dude. You got a variety there, for sure.
The hometown boy. I'll respect Patty Kane. He's the hometown man.
He's I mean, hometown for you guys, right? Yeah. He's from up in New York there.
He was born in the same town my dad was born in, so.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
He hasn't been doing much. Sorry, Patrick.
He's getting old.
But
he's getting old.
He is. Him and good old Toes. Mr. Jonathan Taves.
Yeah, new season.
So the second question that you usually ask is your favorite fishing memory.
So I would love to talk about this plaque over here, but I think my buddy Scott, that I think I talked to you about this. This guy, that ex-military guy, who his time that he was home, I used to work at Field and Street, and this guy would come in all the time, asking questions, buying stuff here and there, and then one day he comes in and he goes, "Come with me." because we were talking about kayak fishing. I was like, oh, where are we going? Because I'm working at the time. And so I was like, where are we going? He goes, I'm picking out a kayak, and I want your help. Oh, okay. And we walked to the back, whatever, and he wanted a pedal drive, but he didn't want to pay for a Hobie or anything. So he didn't want to pay for the Old Town, so he wanted to start out somewhere. And all we had at Field and Stream was you got to put that on the screen. That's funny. He bought the Perception, and I think it was like the Pescador or something like that. Not the greatest. Pretty much he left with the kayak, bunch of fishing gear. I gave him my number if he had any questions, and next few days I get a text saying, "Hey, it's Scott, guy who from the kayak, Field and Stream," and he goes, "Will you take me out fishing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And like, "What are you doing Saturday?" Because I was going to Canisius, one of my home lakes. So we met there at 6 a.m. We went out in the water. Within 10 minutes, his pedal drive broke, and I'm like, "Crap!" And so he was kind of frustrated. So he left. We left that day. Well, he left because he wanted to go get it fixed. And literally, it was the next day. He called me that night, and the next day he pulled up to the ramp, meeting me again with a Hobie. So he goes, I dropped the money. I got a Hobie. I'm like, all right, man. So we went out on Canisius that same day. And, dude, I think I told you the story how not many lakes, when it's slack calm, super hot, high sun, does very well. But Canisius, it shows out when it does because all the fish move up shallow, and you pick them off cruising, and you can sight fish them. It's super fun. And this dude had a blast. Just simple wacky rig. Just you literally would stand up, and you could see, 6 to 8 bass under each dock, and it was super simple. Wasn't anything
That's
to
awesome.
it. And it was just, we probably caught, 50, 60 fish within a couple hours. And he caught, a couple 3-4 pounders, and, the guy was having a blast. And I think that one was pretty awesome. I think I looked at becoming a guide for like 2-3 months after that because of that day.
Yeah.
But I was just sitting there like, I can't experience that with everybody. So we fished a bunch together before he left again. But I think that was probably my favorite just because how it kind of changed him a bit where he got really into it. He got pretty good, and he joined some NYKBF tournaments too.
Nice.
I don't know how he finished, but he did pretty well.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it when people grasp on to the fishing after taking them out, and having a successful day, and it just kind of builds up there, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that.
Somewhere. Yeah.
I got to throw this comment on the screen. This is in
I haven't
reference
keeping
to
up with
the ice hockey talk. Kentuckians only use ice for keeping their sweet tea cold.
That's funny.
My man Luke Coffee. I love it.
Yeah. That's funny.
And then he also says, on the other hand, the reason we don't have a hockey team is we don't have enough teeth. I mean, it's kind of the opposite. Most hockey players
should have a hockey team if you don't have teeth.
Yeah. Most hockey players lose their teeth by taking pucks to the face or fights and things like that. So
the NHL is definitely the ugliest group of guys in all of sports.
Right. I used to be a season ticket holder for the farm team for the Hawks because they're in my hometown here, man. And it's, they'd hold little events after the games, and you could meet all the players and stuff. So like, I've chatted with Ryan Hartman, Scott Darling, Vili Polka, Victor Svedberg, like a bunch of guys that went through the Hawks organization, man. And it's all the same. They smile, and there's like big voids in their mouth,
Yeah.
unless they got a good dental plan, So that's always,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So,
Yep.
well, very cool, man. I love the answers on those two questions, man. I thought I was going to kind of stump you. I didn't know if you'd be prepared or not for that one. So kudos to you, man.
But it's like I've asked that question so many times that I have a relative answer usually. So
right on, man. Right on. Well,
definitely.
We got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to put you in the hot seat real quick. I'm just going to flash a couple questions at you real quick, and it'll be like an either-or situation.
Okay.
Casting or spinning?
Casting.
Power fishing or finesse fishing?
Power. It's tough. I like finesse fishing too.
I thought you were more of a finesse guy, man.
See, I like it. It's really fun. It's one of my favorite techniques, but how can you argue power fishing?
Yeah, you got a point.
It's hard to argue it.
Chatterbait or a jig?
Chatterbait.
Ooh. Drop shot or Ned rig?
Drop shot, 100%. Ned rig's not my friend. Doesn't like me. I like it. It doesn't like me back.
Crankbait or jerkbait?
Jerkbait.
Interesting.
Love a jerkbait bite.
I like it.
Yep.
It. Very cool, man.
Oh,
What would you say is your favorite all-time bait? You can only take one rod, one reel, and one bait. What's your setup?
One bait. Oh boy. I'm gonna go with
Finally stumped the
Douglas.
kid.
Yeah. A Douglas X Matrix. It's going to be a 715F. So it's a 7'1". So it's going to be a workhorse. All right. It's going to be all around. I'm going to have it up on, I'm going to have a Corrado DC.
Okay.
With,
all right.
I have 15-pound mono. And I'm throwing an El Chapo. And that's all I'm throwing from sun up to sundown or even at night.
El Chapo.
Berkeley Chapo. It's their Whopper Plopper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You asked my guys back at NYKBF, Gary or Jose, and then you asked them about either a Whopper Plopper or a Chapo at night. Oh, yeah. You want to get some summer mega bags. That's how you do it in New York.
Yeah. We're going to have to take a little look at that here. So
yeah. We'll get you out night fishing at some point.
I like it. Yeah. I keep getting the invite up to New York, and I just got to make my way up there. The question is when.
Out, dude. You're missing out.
I know. I got a cousin that lives up that way, up by Niagara Falls area. So, I just got to make the drive, bro. Just got to make the drive. Well, dude, do you have anything else you wanna drop on here before we wrap this thing up, or shout out to companies you work with, NYKBF, any of that good stuff, man?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me on. I mean, I've never been on a live show. It's my second podcast I've been on the other end with, and shout out to my boy Josh Smith at Dark Waters.
Yeah, buddy.
He had me on as well. But this is fun. I love doing this. Like I told you before, next best thing to fishing is obviously grandma's mac and cheese, but also talking fishing. So I love it. Absolutely love it. So shout out to my guys at NYKBF. Grassroots there. So it's where I kind of grew up with the El Chapo. Stocking up on now. Yeah, crap, what's the color? It's like a jet black. Can't remember the color name, but so that's what you got to get. Don't invite him up here. Don't. That's funny. Sorry, Justin. We're gonna come to your campground and stay there.
Yeah, we're partying at Fuzzy Guppies, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to NYKBF. Shout out to Justin. It's gonna be a fun 2020 if the virus doesn't get in the way of everybody. Shout out to Douglas, obviously. I appreciate the opportunity. I can't wait to grow with him. Amped Outdoors, the only other partnership I have. It's my battery company.
Nice.
A lot of these guys, Derek Brundle, he's another guy on the team.
Yeah.
So it's fun to work with him, and I run the Instagram over there. And Matt is an awesome dude, the owner over there, incredible guy. Big things coming for him, so it's pretty exciting.
Nice.
And check out the podcast. Shout out to all my guys, past and hopefully future, who are on the podcast. Guys and gals coming soon. Big podcast in the works.
I know a gal, if you're looking for one.
Hey, anybody's welcome. Reach out if you want to be on the podcast too. I love to talk to everybody. So it's
right on.
Yeah, that's about it.
What's your schedule over there for those that may not know, man?
For the podcast?
Yeah.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's
Nice.
been 2 weeks where I haven't done a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's when I've been real busy. It's been like a weird Tuesday, Friday. It's odd.
Damn you!
And
How dare you miss a day?
It's tough.
Trust me, I know, dude. I know.
Yeah.
We're at 6 days, and we're about to go 7, man. So it's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very cool, man.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, Amped Outdoors guys, man. I just worked the Madison Fishing Show. They had a booth across from us, and all the guys are super cool.
So cool.
Talk to them.
Great guys.
I told the one guy, I was like, that 100 amp hour, you could put it in my truck. It's like right down there out in the parking lot, dude. Don't worry about it. Just drop it right in the back. I'll take care of it. And they were like, this dude's crazy, because I mentioned it to him like 3 times.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny. So, but yeah, Bailey, man, thank you so much, man, for taking the time out tonight and letting everybody get to know you and know the Serious Angler podcast, Douglas Rods, all that good stuff, man. I know you and I have been talking. Like, I'm sure this is going to happen again in the future here, man. And
always down.
Looking forward to it, dude. Looking forward to it.
100%. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no.
Big fan of PNF.
Oh, stop. No, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Very much appreciated. Everybody just stay safe out there, man. It's been a crazy past week with all the unfolds and stuff, but hopefully we get through this, and hopefully we could enlighten your mood tonight or take your mind off some things and just let you kind of escape from what's going on in the real world right now. So much appreciated, man.
Stay at home, head to the lake.
Yeah, well, they kind of canceled fishing on us here in Illinois, so it kind of
more
sucks,
reason
man.
to come to New York, dude.
Yeah, might have to do that. Sorry, boss, calling in the rest of the week.
They might cancel it in New York, but I can tell you we're not going to listen, so we're still going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But what are you going to do, man?
To Daniel Perry. I met him down at the Classic, too. So
DP.
Cool. Yeah.
My man, DP.
Yep.
Very cool, man.
Oh, yeah. Rocking the Navy booth.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. All right, guys. Till next time, tight lines, smooth paddling. We'll see you next week. Hello and welcome back. To the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm Brian.
It's Josh. Brian and
I'm Jay.
Dustin Nichols.
It's Ricketts.
And I'm Brad.
Susie Roloff.
Sam Jones. Got Dan Perry with the
Bass Fishing for Noobs.
final cast.
Chasing the Tide saltwater segment here on
Adventures with Outdoor Women.
The reel down on.
He's got
A Cyber Monday.
Oh yeah, dude.
Happy birthday, you listeners.
Oh, guys, this is a stud.
He is the giant. Mr. Drew Gregory himself. Welcome, Drew.
Got it.